Hello, I'm Stuart Law, and that's the river behind me, the River Severn to be precise. I'm pike fishing, and I've actually got my floats out, hence I'm looking down at there. We had some snow overnight. I think on the shot there you can see on the far bank there's still remnants of it, like a dusting of snow. But we've had rain, no doubt you can hear on my brolly there, since I arrived really, and it's melted away. In fact, where I am now, it's so muddy. It's a real mud bath that I'm fishing in. But of course, as long as safety's okay, as long as the fish aren't compromised in terms of welfare and so on, that's fine. No issues there. I'm confident, as I always am. I always say that. It's not just a catchphrase, you know, being confident. It's actually true. I mean that. You have to be confident when you go fishing. Realistic as well. I always say that. That's important. Certainly the sort of fishing I do, targeting specific species, certainly fishing for the bigger ones in the venue, you've got to be realistic. But a little bit of confidence doesn't do anyone any harm. In fact, I would say that if you expect to blank and you've told yourself you will blank, and it's a waste of time going, then you really will struggle, because a lot of fishing, I think, like sports in general, is up here. Not all of it, of course. There's watercraft and things that we have to apply to our fishing, but I think a lot of it is about our attitude and our mentality. Anyway, the river's looking okay. It's about a foot up from what I normally fish along this section. Well, along any section, of course, it would be pretty standard on the Middle Severn. It's about a foot up on normal winter level, but there is a decent clarity. There's a little bit of colour to it, but certainly 2 feet or beyond I can see beneath the surface. But because there is a little bit of colour, I've chose sardines as my dead bait. I've got some perch in there, but of course the sardines will stand out a little bit more, and that's what you want. The fish, the pike patrolling up and down, you want them to see a standout bait, and certainly a sardine will score on that front as opposed to a perch. So the rods are out, and I'm hopeful. Just finally, before I close this little clip, you may wonder what this thing is on my head. I get a lot of people comment on it, various sort of things that are made. Well, this is what it is. Drops right the way down, and certainly for the cold weather that we have, because I am an all-round, all year round angler in all conditions, something like this is important to keep you nice and warm. You'll never be totally warm, of course. It's not like sitting by the fire, but there are clothes and items of things that we can buy to just help us along our way. Right, the rods are out, and let's see if I can get that pike for the camera. One on. In the net. And there it is, a lovely Middle Severn pike. Pleased with that. Let's get it back. The rods are back out now, and I'm watching my floats. Different ways, of course. to fish for pike, as there is with most species. And I think it's important that it's not always about the most productive way of catching fish, but it's about what we enjoy. And I absolutely love float fishing for pike with a dead bait, and that float is motionless in the water, and then the pike picks up the bait, and you can just see, with your sort of mind's eye, what's happening beneath the surface as the float starts to tremble and shake and starts to move, and then it dips and you strike into it. It's fantastic, and I really enjoy it. And there may at certain times be more productive ways, as I said, of catching fish, but it has to be about enjoyment, and I really enjoy float fishing for pike. You will have noticed on the video, and over the last couple of weeks, if you watch them on a weekly basis, that there are little tips appearing. This year, on my Facebook page, one of those that you like, and also on my Twitter account, I'm posting a daily angling tip. So if you want to catch up with those on a daily basis, of course, then you can follow me on Twitter or like me on Facebook, and I'm going to collect them together, because they will disappear, of course, off the internet over time. I'll collect them together and also put them on the video. So hopefully they'll be encouraging as well, and a few little tips that we can pick up along the way to help our angling. That's what it's all about. As you can see there, I've got my landing net in the water ready. I think preparation's important, being organised. I've got my unhooking mat laid out. It needs to be on a level of places we can find, close to the water, so that we can get the fish onto the net, onto the mat with a minimum of fuss. Also have our forceps and side cutters laid out. They're essential items. You can't go pike fishing without forceps and side cutters. The cutters in particular, I think they're a bit like an insurance policy on a car. You have to take one out. They're important. You can't do without it. They're compulsory. You need them, but you actually hope that you don't have to activate them. And it's the same thing with those side cutters. But they are important. You can't go fishing without those sort of things. So if you're thinking of taking up pike fishing, then those are all essential things that you need. Pike look ferocious, but actually they're quite fragile, as indeed are a lot of the predator species, thinking of zander in particular, and eels as well. Folks mistreat them, but we need to have respect for all the fish that we catch. Predators in general come in for a bad press, don't they? Think about zander and eels and certainly pike. And sadly, a lot of the the negatives that we find, in fact I would say really all of the negatives that we find towards pike are from anglers that simply don't understand them, have no idea of the role that pike play in the balance of a water, and they're certainly mistreated. But you often hear, even from pike anglers, where they say, I got bitten by a pike, and that's one term that I would never use, because when you think about it, to get bitten by something is a conscious act on the part of the one that does the biting. So you get bitten by a dog because that dog makes a deliberate attempt to lunge at you, to bite you. Pike don't do that, and I think it's important that we avoid terms like that, because it's all part of this general process of demonising a fish that shouldn't be in that category at all. Now when you catch a pike has teeth, we know that, very sharp teeth, and when you catch that fish and you've got it on your mat, The fish doesn't lunge at you, it doesn't see you and think I'm going to bite the angler. It doesn't do that at all. When we're in the process of getting the hooks out, of course the fish will instinctively close its mouth. You may get caught then, the fish may flap, and in the action of flapping on the mat you may get caught. But I think it's important, really important, to bear in mind that the fish at no time thinks to itself in its mind, I am going to bite the hand of that particular angler. It's just a reaction that's nothing to do with biting, that we get the cuts on our hands. And I think as anglers, particularly as predator anglers that have the pike's welfare at heart, we need to avoid terms like that. So don't say the pike bit me. You know, it might be that we caught our hands on its teeth or something like that, but don't say the pike bit us, because what we're implying then is that the pike is an animal that intended to cause harm to us, and it doesn't. All part of this process, really, I think, of putting the pike in a better light, not simply to the world around, but actually to the angling community. I think that's really important. I've just got beginnings of a run there on the one rod. I was able to take the other one out. It's important because you don't want to leave one in when you're messing about and focusing on one. And the thing about pike fishing, certainly in the winter when they're not so active, is from that first little tremble you can quite easily just bring your other rod in, particularly when you're only a length or so out, and you can then just focus on the one. And that run is now developing nicely, so I'm hoping to get a fish on in a moment or two. No, it's not developing. Sometimes these things happen. The pike picks up the bait, runs with it for a short time, and then for whatever reason decides not to take it any further. Never mind. Well, don't speak too soon. I've got it on. There it is, in the net. That fish has now gone back. I want to just put one rod out. I want to bring the video to an end now. It's getting quite slippery on the bank. That's why I didn't take the camcorder down to the edge, because my camera took a photo for my angling journal. That went over in the mud, so I'll have to try and clean that up when I get home. Didn't want the camcorder to go the same way. So, as always, as I say, check out my article, or the accompanying article that goes with this video, and you can find out how I get on in the remaining sessions, or indeed if I do catch a pike in the final few minutes of this one. I'm starting to break down anyway now, and as always, again, if you're out and about yourself, tight lines, and I'll see you next week.